The stars looked different today. Dr. Hana Kim knew this because she had been watching them for 15 years. Every night she pointed her telescope at the same spots in space. She knew where each star should be. She knew how bright they should look. But tonight, something was wrong. Hana sat in her small office at the Korean Space Research Center. Coffee cups covered her desk. She had not slept for 2 days. The computer screen showed numbers that made no sense. The gravity readings from the outer solar system were all wrong. "This cannot be right," she said to herself. She checked the machines again. Everything worked fine, but the numbers stayed the same. Something very big was moving near Neptune, something that was not supposed to be there. Far away, beyond the edge of the solar system, Admiral Gothran stood on the bridge of his flagship. The ship was alive. Its walls moved like breathing. Lights pulsed through veins in the ceiling. The Vraktar had grown their ships instead of building them. This fleet had taken 50 years to grow. "How much longer until we reach the target world?" Gothran asked. His aide, a young Vraktar with green skin and 4 arms, checked the biocomputer. 17 of their days, Admiral. The fleet is performing well." Gothran smiled. His teeth were sharp and yellow. "Good. Tell me about these humans." Again. "They are very primitive, Admiral. They still use metal ships powered by chemical explosions. Their weapons are simple nuclear devices. They fight among themselves constantly. Our scouts say they have barely left their home planet." "How? Many ships do they have?" "Perhaps 200 small vessels, nothing bigger than a few hundred meters. They pose no threat to us." Gothran laughed. It was a sound like breaking glass. "Another easy conquest. We will be done in days." The Vraktar Empire had been growing for 2,000 years. They had conquered 17 star systems. Each time, it was the same story. They would arrive with their bioships. The local species would try to fight. The locals would lose. Then the Vraktar would take everything worth taking and move on. Earth would be no different. The humans had some interesting resources, good metals, clean water, and humans themselves made decent slaves. The Empire could always use more workers. Back on Earth, Hana was making phone calls. Nobody wanted to listen to her. "Dr. Kim, you need to sleep," said her boss, Dr. Sung-Ho Park. "You are seeing things that are not there." "But the gravity readings are probably from a solar storm or equipment failure. Go home." Hana hung up the phone. She looked at her computer screen again. The numbers had not changed. Something the size of a small moon was moving toward them. Actually, many things the size of small moons. She picked up her phone again. This time she called her friend at the military. General Woo Jin Lee was eating breakfast when his phone rang. He did not want to answer it. He had been working late. Every night for weeks. The world was getting more dangerous. Wars were breaking out everywhere. The last thing he needed was another crisis. General Lee speaking. "Woo Jin, this is Hana. I need you to listen to me very carefully." Lee knew Hana from college. She was the smartest person he had ever met. If she was calling him, it was important. "What is wrong?" "Something is coming toward Earth. Something big. Very big." Lee put down his coffee. "How big?" "I think it might be hundreds of objects, each one the size of a large ship or space station. They are moving very fast, much faster than anything we have ever built." "Are you sure?" "I have been checking my equipment for 2 days. Everything works fine. Woo Jin, I think they might be alien ships." Lee was quiet for a long moment. He had read reports about possible alien life. The government had plans for first contact, but those plans assumed the aliens would be friendly. "How long do we have?" "At their current speed, maybe 2 weeks, maybe less. I will make some calls." Lee hung up and immediately called his superior. Within an hour, he was in a room full of important people. Scientists, military officers, and government officials all looked at the same data Hana had found. "Is this real?" asked the president. The head of the space agency nodded. "We have confirmed it with 3 different telescopes. There are at least 500 objects approaching our solar system. They are moving at 15% of light speed. Could they be natural? No, sir. They are in formation, and they are slowing down as they approach. The room was silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The president looked at General Lee. What are our options? We have protocols for first contact, sir, but they assume the visitors are peaceful. And if they are not peaceful? Lee looked around the room. Then we fight. In space, Captain Taman Park was doing routine maintenance on the experimental stealth ship Soul's Pride. The ship was humanity's most advanced vessel. It could hide from most sensors and move very quietly through space. His radio crackled to life. Captain Park, you have new orders. Return to base immediately. Park had been in space for 3 weeks. He was looking forward to going home. But something in the voice on the radio made him worried. What is the situation? Classified. Just get back here as fast as you can. Park changed course toward Earth. As he flew, he wondered what could be so urgent. The Soul's Pride was usually used for spy missions. Maybe there was trouble with one of the enemy nations. He had no idea that he was about to become humanity's first scout against an alien invasion force. Meanwhile, Admiral Gothron was reviewing the battle plans. The Vraktar strategy was simple. They would surround the planet. They would destroy any ships that tried to fight. Then they would demand surrender. What if the humans refused to surrender? Asked his aide. Then we destroy their major cities until they change their minds. It usually takes 1 or 2 examples. And if they still refuse? Gothran waved a hand. Then we kill half of them and enslave the rest. But it will not come to that. These humans are not warriors. Our scouts say they fight with honor codes and rules. Very civilized, very predictable. The Admiral looked at a display showing Earth. It was a beautiful blue planet with white clouds. Soon it would belong to the Empire. Have the bioships been fed? Yes, Admiral. They are growing stronger as we approach the star. The extra energy is making them faster and more aggressive. Excellent. In 2 weeks, we will have another victory to report to the Emperor. Back on Earth, Dr. Hana Kim was finally getting the attention she deserved. Military trucks were parked outside her research center. Soldiers were setting up equipment everywhere. General Lee found her in her office, still staring at the same computer screen. Hana, we need everything you know about these objects. She looked up at him. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. They are definitely artificial, Wu Jin, and they are definitely coming here. How can you be sure? Because they just sent us a message. Lee felt his stomach drop. What kind of message? Hana turned her computer screen toward him. On it was a recording from their deep space radio telescope. The signal was strong and clear. It was in perfect Korean, English, Chinese, and 12 other human languages. A voice spoke from the computer. It sounded like wind blowing through metal pipes. People of Earth, this is the Vraktar Empire. We come to claim your world for our own. You have 72 of your hours to surrender completely. Gather your leaders and wait for our arrival. Resistance will be met with total destruction. This is your only warning. Lee and Hana stared at each other. In 3 days, Earth would face its first alien invasion, and humanity had no idea what they were really capable of. The countdown had begun. The message played on every television and radio on Earth. World leaders canceled their meetings. Stock markets crashed. People gathered in churches, mosques, and temples to pray. Some ran to stores to buy food and water. Others just sat in their homes and waited. General Wu Jin Lee had not slept since the message arrived. He was now in charge of something called the Unified Defense Command. It was a new organization made up of military officers from every country on Earth. They had all agreed to work together for the first time in human history. Show me what we have, Lee said to his staff. Commander So-Young Choi, a Navy officer who had been assigned as his deputy, opened a large folder. Not much, sir. We have about 200 ships in space. Most are cargo vessels or research stations. Only 30 are actually military ships. What about weapons? We have nuclear missiles, some laser systems for shooting down satellites, a few experimental railguns. Lee rubbed his forehead. And they have 500 ships that can travel at 15% of light speed. Yes. Sir, we are going to need a miracle. Across the city, Dr. Ara Yoon was working with a team of scientists to understand the alien message. She was a specialist in languages and communication. Her job was to figure out how the aliens had learned human languages so perfectly. "This is impossible," she said to her assistant. "They speak our languages better than we do. Listen to this." She played the message again. The alien voice used perfect grammar. It even used the right tone and accent for each language. "How long would it take to learn this well?" her assistant asked. "Years, maybe decades. Unless what? Unless they have been watching us for a very long time." Meanwhile, Captain Taemin Park was preparing for the most important mission of his life. The Soul's Pride had been upgraded with every sensor humanity could build. His job was to get close to the alien fleet and learn everything he could about them. "Remember, Captain," General Lee told him over the radio, "do not engage. Do not let them see you. Just watch and report." "Understood, sir." Commander So-Young Choi, who was now Park's second-in-command, checked their systems one more time. "Stealth field is active. We are invisible to most sensors." "Let's hope alien sensors work like ours," Park said. The Soul's Pride left Earth, orbit, and headed toward the outer solar system. They would reach the alien fleet in 4 days. Back on the alien flagship, Admiral Gothron was enjoying the panic on Earth. His ships had sensors that could detect every radio and television signal from the planet. "They are afraid," he told his aide. "Good. Fear makes surrender easier." "Admiral, our bioships are detecting some unusual activity near their home planet." "What kind of activity?" "Small ships moving around. Nothing dangerous. Probably cargo. Vessels trying to escape." Gothron laughed. "Let them run. There is nowhere to go." But the Admiral was wrong. The ships moving around Earth were not trying to escape. They were getting ready to fight. Engineer Jinwoo Nam was working 18 hours a day to turn civilian ships into weapons. He was Korea's best spacecraft engineer, and now he had unlimited resources and authority. "Can we put a nuclear missile on this cargo ship?" he asked his team. "Yes, but it will be obvious. The aliens will see it coming from very far away." "What? If we hide the missile inside a shipping container?" His team looked at each other. It was a crazy idea, but crazy might be what they needed. "It could work," said one engineer, "but someone will have to fly it very close to the alien ships. We will find volunteers." All over Earth, similar conversations were happening. The humans were not just preparing to surrender. They were preparing to fight back. Dr. Hyun-ji Lim was working on a different problem. She was a physicist who studied quantum mechanics. Her job was to figure out how alien technology worked. "Their ships are biological," she explained to a room full of military officers. "They grow them instead of building them." "What does that mean for us?" asked General Lee. "Biological systems have advantages. They can heal themselves. They can adapt to new situations. But they also have weaknesses." "What kind of weaknesses?" "They need time to change. If we can surprise them with something they have never seen before, they might not be able to adapt fast enough." Lee leaned forward. "Keep working on that." On the 3rd day, something happened that changed everything. The aliens demonstrated their power. It started when astronomers noticed that one of the large asteroids near Jupiter had disappeared. Not broken apart, not moved, completely gone. Then they detected a massive energy burst from the alien fleet. Dr. Hana Kim was the first to understand what had happened. "They destroyed it," she told General Lee. "They turned an asteroid into nothing." "How big was the asteroid?" 5 kilometers across, about the size of a mountain. Lee felt sick. If the aliens could destroy a mountain-sized rock from across the solar system, what could they do to Earth's cities? The aliens sent another message that evening. This time, the voice sounded amused. People of Earth, you have seen what our weapons can do. You have 48 hours remaining to surrender. Choose wisely. But instead of causing more panic, the demonstration had an unexpected effect. It made humans angry. Captain Park was now close enough to see the alien fleet with his own eyes. What he saw made him understand why Earth was in so much trouble. Commander Choi, are you recording this? Yes, sir. The alien ships were unlike anything humans had ever imagined. They looked like giant sea creatures swimming through space. Some were long and thin like snakes. Others were round like jellyfish. All of them pulsed with internal light. How big are they? Choi checked her sensors. The largest ones are over 2 kilometers long. And, sir, they are not just ships. What do you mean? They are alive, really alive. I am detecting heartbeats, blood flow, neural activity. Park stared at the display. The aliens had not built a fleet. They had grown an army of space monsters. Get us closer. I want to see how they fight. As they watched, some of the smaller alien ships began to practice combat maneuvers. They moved, like schools of fish, turning and twisting in perfect coordination. When one ship moved, all the others moved with it instantly. They share a group mind, Choi whispered. They think together. Park understood the implications immediately. Humans fought as individuals. Each ship had its own captain making its own decisions. Sometimes human ships got confused or made mistakes because of poor communication. The aliens would never have that problem. We need to get this information back to Earth, Park said. But as they turned to leave, something went wrong. One of the alien ships suddenly changed direction and headed straight toward them. They can see us, Choi said. Impossible. Our stealth field does not work against their sensors. Sir, they are closing fast. Park made a decision that would save his life and possibly Earth's future. Instead of running in a straight line, he began flying in random directions. Up, down, left, right, spinning and tumbling like a broken ship. The alien ship followed for a few minutes, then seemed to lose interest. It returned to the fleet. Why did that work? Choi asked. Park was already thinking about the answer. Because their ships are biological. They expect other ships to fly efficiently. When we flew like we were damaged or out of control, they decided we were not a threat. Or maybe they do not understand chaotic movement. Either way, we learned something important. Their biggest advantage might also be their biggest weakness. The soul's pride raced back toward Earth with information that would change humanity's strategy. The aliens were powerful, organized, and efficient. But they might not understand unpredictability. As Park flew home, he did not know that Dr. Hyun-ji Lim had reached the same conclusion from her research. Biological systems were amazing at adapting to gradual changes, but they struggled with sudden chaotic disruptions. Humanity was about to become the most chaotic disruption the galaxy had ever seen. General Lee received Park's report while standing in the new command center that had been built under Seoul. Engineers were still installing equipment, but there was no time to wait. So they can see through our stealth technology, Lee said. Yes, sir, but they might be vulnerable to unpredictable tactics. Lee nodded. Then we will be as unpredictable as possible. He turned to Commander Choi. Send a message to all our ships. Tell them to forget everything they learned in military school. We are not going to fight like a proper navy. We are going to fight like pirates. As the alien fleet continued toward Mars, where they planned to set up their base of operations, humanity prepared for the most unconventional battle in history. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched in every way that mattered. But they had one advantage the aliens had never encountered before. Humans were really good at being unpredictable. General Woo Jin Lee stood in front of a map of the solar system. Red dots showed where the alien fleet was moving. Blue dots showed human ships. There were not nearly enough blue dots. "Tell me about Project Prometheus," he said to Admiral Kyung-ho. Song was the commander of Earth's space forces. He was also one of the few people who knew about humanity's biggest secret. "We have been preparing for this day for 20 years, Song said. Not for aliens, specifically, but for war in space." "What do we have?" Song smiled for the first time in days. "Much more than the public knows about." He pressed a button, and the map changed. Suddenly, there were hundreds of blue dots scattered throughout the solar system. Every mining station in the asteroid belt has been equipped with mass drivers. They can throw rocks at incredible speeds. Rocks? Very fast rocks. A chunk of iron moving at 50 kilometers per second hits harder than a nuclear bomb. Lee stared at the map. "How many rocks can they throw?" "Thousands. And that is just the beginning." Song pressed another button. More blue dots appeared. Every communication satellite has been fitted with laser arrays. Every space station has hidden missile pods. The International Space Station is actually a fortress with armor plating and enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since the first space war between nations. We realized that anyone who controlled space could control Earth, so we made sure humanity would always control space." Lee felt hope for the first time since the aliens arrived. "What else?" "Colonel Dong-Soo Kong's people have been very busy. Colonel Kong commanded what everyone thought was a civilian mining operation. In reality, he led a secret military unit, called the Asteroid Miners. Their job was to turn space rocks into weapons." "Show me," Lee said. The screen changed to show a video feed from the asteroid belt. Lee saw what looked like a normal mining operation. Ships were cutting up asteroids and loading ore into cargo containers. But then one of the ships did something unusual. Instead of loading the ore, it shaped it into a long, sharp projectile. Then it attached a small rocket motor to the back. "Kinetic penetrators," Song explained. "We have been making them for years. Each one weighs several tons and can punch through almost any armor." "How many do we have?" 15,000. And counting. Lee was beginning to understand. Humanity had not just been preparing for war. They had been preparing for the kind of war that no one had ever fought before. In her laboratory, Dr. Hyun-ji Lim was working on the most important discovery of her career. She had been studying the energy signatures from the alien fleet, and she had found something interesting. "The bioships have a weakness," she told her research team. "They cannot change faster than their biological processes allow." "What does that mean?" asked her assistant. "Think of it like this. If you exercise, your muscles get stronger. But it takes time. You cannot become stronger in just a few minutes. So the alien ships need time to adapt?" "Exactly. If we hit them with many different attacks very quickly, they will not be able to defend against all of them." Dr. Lim opened a new file on her computer. "I have been analyzing their ship movements. They change their tactics every few hours. But during those hours, they are vulnerable to whatever strategy they have not prepared for." This information was immediately sent to engineer Jin Woo Nam, who was working on humanity's secret weapons. Nam had been given unlimited resources and told to create the most devastating weapons possible. He had not disappointed. "Show General Lee the X-ray laser," he told his team. They activated a video link to a secret facility on the far side of the moon. On the screen, Lee could see what looked like a large telescope pointed at space. "It is powered by nuclear explosions," Nam explained. "Each blast creates a beam of X-rays focused to a point smaller than a pencil tip. It can cut through any known material." "How many do we have?" 12, hidden on the moon, on Mars, and on several asteroids. And the aliens do not know about them? They cannot see them unless they know exactly where to look. And even if they find them, we can build new ones faster than they can destroy them." Nam pulled up another file. "We also have these. The screen showed thousands of small objects floating in space. They looked like metal spheres with tiny rocket engines. AI-controlled attack drones. Each one has a small nuclear warhead and a brain smart enough to find enemy ships. We have been launching them for weeks. They are spread throughout the solar system, waiting for orders. Lee was amazed. How many? 50,000, maybe more. We stopped counting. While the military prepared their weapons, the scientists were working on strategy. Dr. Ara Yoon had been studying the alien communications, and she had made an important discovery. They do not understand human psychology, she told General Lee. Their messages assume we will act logically. What do you mean? They expect us to surrender because fighting them is illogical. They have better technology and more ships. Any rational species would give up. But humans are not always rational. Exactly. And they do not seem to understand that. Dr. Yoon showed Lee a recording of alien communications between their ships. They keep talking about efficient conquest and optimal strategies. They think war is like a math problem with a correct answer. What does this tell us? They will expect us to fight the way they would fight. Organized, efficient, predictable. Lee smiled. Then we will fight the way only humans can fight. Captain Taemin Park was back in space, this time leading a squadron of modified civilian ships. His mission was to test human weapons against alien technology. The test target was a small, alien scout ship that had separated from the main fleet. It was only 50 meters long, but it was still larger and more advanced than anything humanity had built. All ships, remember the plan, Park said over the radio. We attack from 6 different directions at the same time. Use different weapons and different flight patterns. The human ships approached the alien vessel. There was a cargo hauler armed with mining lasers, a passenger transport carrying nuclear missiles, a research ship equipped with an experimental railgun, and Park's own soul's pride, now fitted with AI-controlled attack drones. Attack! The human ships opened fire from all directions. The alien ship immediately began to adapt. Its bioarmor grew thicker where the lasers hit. It generated electromagnetic fields to deflect the railgun projectiles. It released chemical clouds to confuse the missiles. But it could not adapt to everything at once. The mining laser burned through its armor on one side, while the railgun punched holes on the other side. The missiles exploded against its hull, while the attack drones swarmed around it like angry wasps. In less than 30 seconds, the alien scout ship was destroyed. It worked, Park reported to Earth. They can adapt to any single threat, but not to multiple different threats at the same time. This information changed everything. Humanity's strategy became clear. They would not try to match alien technology. Instead, they would overwhelm it with chaos. Admiral Kyung-ho Song was now in command of the largest military operation in human history. Ships from every nation on Earth were working together. Military vessels fought alongside cargo haulers and research ships. Professional soldiers served next to civilian volunteers. The alien fleet will reach Mars in 4 days, he told his staff. That is where we will make our stand. Why Mars? Asked Commander So Young Choi. Because that is where they expect to set up their base. They will be confident and relaxed. And because Mars has something Earth does not have? What? No civilians to protect. We can use our biggest weapons without worrying about innocent people. Song opened a classified file. Project Prometheus has one more surprise. We have been building a secret facility inside Mars' largest moon, Phobos. The screen showed the interior of Phobos. It had been hollowed out and turned into a giant weapons platform. Dozens of X-ray lasers pointed outward through hidden openings. Missile silos were carved into the rock. The entire moon was now a fortress. When the aliens arrive at Mars, they will be entering a trap. But Song knew the battle would not be easy. The alien fleet was still much larger than anything humanity could field. Even with all their preparations, the humans would be outnumbered 5 to 1. We will get one chance, Song told his officers. If we fail, Earth falls. On the alien flagship, Admiral Gothran was reviewing the final battle plans. His fleet was approaching Mars, and everything was going according to schedule. The humans have been very quiet, his aide reported. No more ships are leaving their planet. No radio transmissions asking for mercy. They have accepted their fate, Gothran said. Good. It will make the conquest faster. The Admiral looked at a display showing Mars. It was a small red planet, with 2 tiny moons. There were some human research stations on the surface, but nothing threatening. We will establish our base in orbit around Mars, he told his fleet commanders. From there, we can control all human space travel. Earth will be isolated and helpless. What Admiral Gothran did not know was that Mars was about to become the site of the most unexpected battle in galactic history. The humans were not preparing to surrender. They were preparing to teach the galaxy a new way to fight wars. In hidden bases throughout the solar system, human weapons were powering up. Attack drones were receiving their final instructions. Kinetic projectiles were being loaded into mass drivers. The Vraktar fleet arrived at Mars exactly when Admiral Gothran had predicted. 500 bioships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and formed a perfect sphere around the red planet. Each ship found its assigned position with mathematical precision. Beautiful formation, Admiral, his aide said with admiration. Gothran nodded. The Empire's finest work. Now scan the planet for human resistance. The alien sensors swept across Mars. They found several small research stations on the surface, a few communication satellites in orbit. Nothing that looked dangerous. There are 43 human ships in the area, the aide reported. All small vessels, cargo haulers and research ships mostly. Destroy them. The nearest Vraktar ships turned their weapons toward the human vessels. But something unexpected happened. Instead of running away or trying to fight, the human ships began flying in completely random directions. One cargo ship started spinning end over end while firing its engines in short bursts. A research vessel began weaving back and forth like a drunken bird. A passenger transport actually flew straight at a Vraktar bioship, then suddenly reversed direction and tumbled away. "What are they doing?" the aide asked. "They are broken," Gothran said. "Their ships must be damaged. Destroy them quickly." But the Vraktar weapons could not lock onto targets that moved so unpredictably. The bioships were designed to fight organized enemies that followed logical flight patterns. They could not calculate firing solutions for ships that seemed to be flying randomly. Captain Yonhaye Jiang was piloting the converted cargo hauler Incheon's Hammer. She had been a civilian pilot for 15 years, but she had never flown like this before. "Engine burst in 3 seconds, her co-pilot announced. "Turn hard left. Fire thrusters. Now spin." The ship tumbled through space like a piece of debris. Behind them, alien energy beams passed through empty space where they had been just moments before. "This is insane," her co-pilot said. "This is war," Jiang replied, "and we are not done yet." She pressed a button, and the cargo bay opened. Instead of cargo containers, dozens of kinetic penetrators launched toward the alien fleet. Each one was a simple chunk of metal with a small rocket engine. They were not guided missiles. They were just very fast rocks, but there were so many of them that the aliens could not dodge them all. The first penetrator hit a Vraktar bioship at 50 kilometers per second. The impact created a flash of light brighter than the sun. When it faded, there was a hole completely through the alien vessel. The bioship tried to heal itself, but it could not regrow faster than it was dying. Green blood leaked into space as the massive creature shuddered and went dark. "First kill to the humans," Admiral Kyung-ho Song announced from his command ship. He was watching the battle from a safe distance, coordinating the attack. "All units, execute Plan Chaos." Across the Mars system, human ships revealed their true nature. What the aliens had thought were helpless cargo vessels were actually weapons platforms. Mining ships activated military-grade lasers. Research vessels launched. Clouds of attack drones. Even civilian passenger transports opened fire with concealed missile pods. Admiral Gothran watched in shock as his perfect formation began to fall apart. The humans were not fighting like any species he had ever encountered. They used no strategy. No coordination. Each ship seemed to be making up its own battle plan. "How many of them are there?" he demanded. "We count 300 ships now, Admiral. They were hiding behind asteroids and space debris. 300 ships cannot defeat 500. But the numbers were misleading. The human ships were not trying to fight fair battles. They were using every dirty trick they could think of. Lieutenant Yu Jin. O led a squadron of experimental fighters that had been hidden inside a fake asteroid. When the alien fleet arrived, the asteroid split open and 20 fighters emerged at full speed. "Remember, people," O said over the radio, "we are not fighter pilots today. We are mosquitoes." The human fighters were tiny compared to the alien, bioships. But they moved like insects, darting and weaving around the massive vessels. The aliens tried to swat them, but their weapons were designed for ship-to-ship combat, not for catching small, fast targets. O's fighter carried no heavy weapons. Instead, it was loaded with tiny attack drones, each no bigger than a baseball. When she got close to an alien ship, she released a swarm of them. The drones were too small for the alien sensors to track individually. They spread out and attached themselves to the bioship's hull. Then they exploded all at once. Each explosion was tiny, but hundreds of tiny explosions happening at the same time could cripple even a large ship. "Target down," O reported as another alien vessel began to drift helplessly. In space near Mars's moon Phobos, Chief Petty Officer Il-sung Bei was leading the most dangerous mission of the battle. His job was to capture an alien ship intact. "Remember, we need prisoners and technology," he told his boarding team. "Try not to blow everything up." Bei's ship was disguised as a piece of space junk. It drifted slowly toward a damaged Vraktar vessel that was trying to repair itself. The alien crew was so focused on fixing their ship that they did not notice the approaching debris. When they were close enough, Bei's team used magnetic grapples to attach their ship to the alien hull. Then they began cutting through the bio-armor with industrial plasma torches. "It is trying to heal around our cuts," one of his men reported. "Cut faster." The team broke through into the alien ship's interior. What they found was unlike anything they had expected. The inside of the ship was more like the inside of a living creature than a spacecraft. Walls pulsed with blood vessels. Lights flickered along nerve pathways. The air was warm and humid. "Contact front!" someone shouted. The first alien Bei had ever seen in person was 7 feet tall with green skin and 4 arms. It carried a weapon that looked like it had been grown rather than manufactured. The alien fired, and a beam of energy burned through the wall next to Bei's head. He fired back with his assault rifle. The alien's armor absorbed most of the impact, but the creature staggered. "Their armor is biological too," Bei realized. "Use the plasma torches." The industrial torches, designed for cutting through metal, proved very effective against biological armor. The alien went down, and Bei's team pushed deeper into the ship. They found the control room, where 3 more aliens were trying to call for help. The humans stunned them with electrical weapons and began disconnecting their biocomputers. "Package secured," Bei reported. "We have prisoners and samples." But the main battle was just beginning. Admiral Gothran had recovered from his initial shock and was organizing a counterattack. "All ships, ignore the small vessels," he ordered. "Find their command ship and destroy it." The alien fleet began to regroup. They formed hunting packs and swept through the asteroid belt, looking for the human command vessel. What they found instead was the most unpleasant surprise of their lives. Phobos, the small moon of Mars, suddenly came alive. Hidden doors opened. across its surface, revealing the barrels of dozens of massive weapons. The entire moon had been turned into a fortress. "What is that?" Gothran's aide gasped. Before the Admiral could answer, Phobos opened fire. The nuclear-pumped X-ray lasers were invisible to the naked eye, but their effects were devastating. Beams of focused radiation sliced through alien bioships like swords through silk. The biological armor that protected against conventional weapons was useless against X-rays. 6 alien ships died in the first volley, then 12 more, then 20. Evasive. "Maneuvers!" Gothran screamed, but there was nowhere to run. The humans had positioned weapons throughout the Mars system. Asteroid-based mass drivers began hurling chunks of rock at incredible speeds. Hidden missile pods launched nuclear warheads from every direction. The aliens found themselves caught in a crossfire that came from everywhere at once. Dr. Hyunji Lim watched the battle from Earth, analyzing the alien responses. Her predictions were proving correct. The bioships could adapt to any single threat, but they were overwhelmed by the sheer variety of human weapons. "They are trying to develop armor against our lasers," she reported to General Lee. "But while they do that, they become more vulnerable to kinetic weapons. How long can they keep adapting?" Not much longer. Their biological systems are reaching their limits. On his flagship, Admiral Gothran was learning a hard lesson about human warfare. The bioship's adaptive systems were fighting each other. The armor that protected against lasers made the ship slower and more vulnerable to missiles. The defenses that stopped kinetic weapons made it easier for X-ray beams to penetrate. "Admiral, we are losing ships faster than we can adapt to their weapons," his aide reported. Gothran looked at the tactical display. In 2 hours of battle, he had lost over 100 ships. The humans had lost perhaps 30. "This is impossible. They are primitives." "Admiral, the bioships are reporting system failures. They cannot adapt fast enough to counter so many different weapon types." For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Gothran considered the possibility of defeat. The humans were not fighting the way civilized species were supposed to fight. They used no honor, no strategy, no predictable tactics. They fought like the wild animals they had evolved from. "All ships, retreat to the edge of the system," he ordered. "We will regroup and develop new strategies." Admiral Gothran's flagship limped toward the edge of the solar system with only 87 ships remaining from his original fleet of 500. The bioships were wounded and exhausted. Their adaptive systems had burned out from trying to counter too many different human weapons at once. "Status report," Gothran demanded. His aide, who had lost 2 of his 4 arms in the battle, struggled to operate the biocomputers. "Admiral, the fleet is in critical condition. Most ships have suffered severe damage. The bio-armor cannot regenerate fast enough to repair the wounds." "What about pursuit?" "The humans are following us, sir, but they are maintaining distance." Gothran did not understand why the humans were not pressing their attack. If he had been in their position, he would have destroyed the remaining alien ships immediately. What the Admiral did not know was that the humans had a different plan. Captain Min Seo. Quan was flying one of the captured Vraktar bioships. It had taken her 3 days to learn how to pilot the living vessel, but she was a fast learner. "This is incredible," she told her crew over the radio. "The ship responds to my thoughts. It is like flying by thinking instead of using controls." Her engineer specialist Gunwoo Shin was studying the alien technology as they flew. "Captain, I think I understand how these ships work. They are not just alive. They are intelligent." "What do you mean?" "The ship has its own mind. It wants to fly efficiently. But if I convince it to try new things..." Shin interfaced with the bioship's nervous system using a device the humans had built from captured alien technology. Suddenly, the ship began moving in ways no Vraktar vessel had ever moved before. Instead of flying in smooth, efficient curves, it began to zigzag and spin. The biological systems designed for optimal performance, were being pushed to their limits by human creativity. The Yas ship does not like flying this way, Shin reported, but it can do it. Then we have learned something very important, Quan said. Their technology is more capable than they realize. They just never thought to use it creatively. This information was immediately transmitted to Admiral Kyung-ho Song, who was leading the human pursuit fleet. So their own ships can outperform their expectations if we push them in new directions? Song mused. Interesting. Behind him, the human fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Military vessels flew alongside converted cargo ships. Experimental prototypes worked with ancient freighters that had been armed with whatever weapons could be found. The fleet included captured alien bioships piloted by humans who flew them in ways their original designers had never imagined. Human. Pilots made the biological vessels perform impossible maneuvers by convincing the ship's minds to try new things. "Admiral," reported Commander So-Young Choi, "we are receiving a transmission from the alien flagship. Put it through." Admiral Gothron's image appeared on the screen. The alien commander looked defeated and confused. "Human Admiral," Gothron said, "I request a meeting to discuss terms of surrender." Song was surprised. In all the intelligence reports about the Vraktar Empire, there had been no mention of them ever surrendering. "What terms do you propose?" "We will withdraw from your system and never return. In exchange, you allow my remaining ships to leave in peace." Song looked at his staff. General Woo Jin Lee, who was monitoring the conversation from Earth, shook his head. "Admiral Gothron," Song said, "your offer is rejected." "Then what do you want?" "Complete surrender. You will turn over all your ships and technology. Your crew will be treated as prisoners of war, and you will provide us with the location of every Vraktar military installation." Gothron's expression changed from confusion to anger. "That is unacceptable. The Empire will never—" "The Empire is finished," Song interrupted. "You came here to conquer Earth. Instead, we conquered you. Now you have a choice. Surrender, or we will hunt down every one of your ships." To emphasize his point, Song ordered a demonstration. The human fleet opened fire on a large asteroid, completely destroying it in seconds. "We learned your technology very quickly," Song said. "We can build weapons faster than you can grow new ships. The war is over, Admiral. You lost." Gothron stared at the human commander. In 2,000 years of expansion, the Vraktar Empire had never encountered a species like this. Every other race had either surrendered immediately or fought a conventional, or that the Empire could win through superior technology, but humans did not fight conventional wars. "I need time to consider your terms," Gothron said finally. "You have 1 hour." The transmission ended, and Song turned to his staff. "What are the chances he will surrender?" Dr. Ara Yoon, who had been studying alien psychology throughout the War, answered. "Very high. The Vraktar are not used to losing. They do not know how to handle defeat." She was right. On the alien flagship, Admiral Gothron was having the most difficult conversation of his life with his remaining ship commanders. "We cannot surrender," said Captain Veltar of the Bioship Destroyer of Worlds. "The Empire has never surrendered." "The Empire has never been defeated like this," Gothron replied. "These humans are unlike anything we have encountered." "They are primitives!" "Primitives who destroyed 400 of our ships in 18 hours, Gothron pointed out. "Primitives who captured our technology and learned to use it better than we do." He showed them a recording of the human-piloted bioship performing maneuvers that no Vraktar pilot had ever attempted. "They are making our own ships do things we thought were impossible. How do we fight an enemy that can turn our strengths against us?" The ship commanders had no answer. An hour later, Admiral Gothron contacted the human fleet again. This time, his image showed a defeated alien who had accepted reality. "Admiral Song, the Vraktar fleet surrenders unconditionally." Song nodded. "Wise choice. You will transfer your crews to the escape pods. Our ships will board your vessels and take control. What will happen to my people? They will be treated well. We are not conquerors, Admiral. We are liberators. I do not understand. Song smiled. You will. Over the next few hours, Chief Petty Officer Il-sung Bae led boarding parties that took control of the remaining alien ships. The Vraktar crew offered no resistance. They seemed stunned by their defeat. Meanwhile, Dr. Gunwoo Shin was analyzing the captured alien databases. What he found changed everything. General Lee, he reported to Earth, you need to see this. The data showed the location of every Vraktar military base, every conquered world, and every enslaved population. The Empire controlled 17 star systems and had enslaved over 50 billion sentient beings. They are not just conquerors, Shin explained. They are slavers. Every species they defeat becomes their property. General Lee studied the star charts. Each red dot represented a world under Vraktar control. Each dot represented billions of people who had never known freedom. How long would it take us to build a fleet capable of liberating these worlds? Engineer Jin-Woo Nam, who had been listening to the conversation, answered immediately. With captured alien technology? 6 months for the first expedition? Maybe a year to build a full liberation fleet. Do it. But first, the humans needed to understand their enemy better. Dr. A. Ra-Yoon was interviewing Admiral Gothran in his cell aboard the human command ship. Why did you enslave so many species? She asked. Gothran seemed confused by the question. It is what we do. The strong rule the weak. It is the natural order. But some of those species had advanced technology. They could have been allies instead of slaves. Allies? Gothran laughed. Why would we need allies? We are superior. Superior? We defeated you. The alien was quiet for a long moment. You did not defeat us fairly. You fought without honor. Without strategy. Like wild animals. Like free beings, Yoon corrected. That is something you never learned to understand. 6 months later, Admiral Boknam Yoon stood on the bridge of the liberation ship New Horizon. Behind him was a fleet of 50 vessels, half human-built and half-captured alien bioships, upgraded with human technology. The fleet was approaching Kepler 442b, the first world they would attempt to liberate. According to the alien databases, it was home to the Thylorians, a peaceful species that had been enslaved for 300 years. What do we know about the Vraktar forces in this system? Admiral Yoon asked. Captain Minseo Kwon, who was now his second in command, checked the intelligence reports. 20 bioships and a slave processing station in orbit. The Thylorians have been forced to mine their planet's resources for the Empire. And the Thylorians themselves? They remember freedom. Our advanced scouts made contact with the underground. Resistance. They are ready to fight alongside us. Admiral Yoon nodded. Then let's give them their world back. The liberation of Kepler 442b took only 6 hours. The Vraktar garrison was expecting a routine supply convoy, not a human liberation fleet. When the shooting started, the aliens found themselves facing the same chaotic, unpredictable warfare that had destroyed their invasion fleet at Mars. But this time, they also faced something new, former slaves fighting for their freedom. The Thylorians had learned human tactics from the resistance broadcasts that Earth had been sending throughout the galaxy. When the liberation fleet arrived, the planet erupted in coordinated revolt. The Vraktar slavers, caught between human ships in space and Thylorian rebels on the ground, surrendered within hours.